Hello everyone, I am Priti Gurung, a second year veterinary student pursuing my bachelor's degree from Agriculture and Forestry University and celebrating World Antimicrobials Resistance Week 2020. Welcome to my podcast on topic Preserve Antimicrobials Efficacy. In this podcast, I'm going to share a short story I came across on antimicrobial resistance and the perception to change how and why antimicrobials should be handled with care. Here it goes. A woman had a common cold. Immediately, she asked his 10-year-old son to go health post and ask for antibiotics. The health worker easily gave him the antibiotics and woman took it from the very first day of infection. After 5 days, she was completely fine. She thought the medication worked out well and kept for further use. Few days later, her neighbor too got a cold. She shared her antibiotics with her with the belief of speed recovery. Likewise, for the whole village, antibiotic was the medication for cold. So here, was the antibiotics that helped them to recover? Obviously not. Cold is a simple infection especially caused by rhinovirus, and antibiotics never cures viruses. It was their own immunity responsible for the recovery. And what about the antibiotic medication they had taken? Will those antibiotics work for the further bacterial infections now? Maybe not. And that is antibacterial resistance. Those bacteria develops resistance in them and antibiotics will no longer work efficiently for them. This process goes same for antivirus, antiparasites and antifungals, collectively known as antimicrobial resistance. The misuse humans have been doing with the medication is the prime cause of antimicrobial resistance. Not only to the one who misuse, but the resistant microbe is contagious from one to another, like that from woman to her child, family and environment, which may cause another global pandemic as antimicrobial resistance is among 10 public health threats listed by World Health Organization, causing 7 lakh deaths per year and estimated to 10 million deaths by 2050 and huge economic loss if not an action is taken. Not only to humans, animals equally develop antimicrobial resistance in its improper use. Using higher dose than prescribed and using suboptimal doses as growth promoter for high yield is equally responsible for the resistance. Also, the insecticides and pesticides used recklessly on plants. The contaminated food, water, and environment is surely not a life we will love to live in. Neither human nor animals are becoming resistant, but the bacteria itself is. So, we should be totally aware from this time to not let the favorable environment for resistant microbes to grow. Coming a long way with the medical science from the very first step of antimicrobials, we must not take it for granted. Antimicrobials are life-saving drugs and it's all our responsibilities to preserve its efficacy for present to save the future. Proper sanitation and hygiene must be maintained. Also talking in the present scenario of COVID-19, self-medication and misuse of antimicrobials is common. For that, we must be aware and make others aware before it's too late, or we may return to the pre-antimicrobial era of high mortality with common coughs and bruises. So, antimicrobials must not be self-medicated, not taken unless required, and not misused on animal health, human health, and environment. Every small individual efforts count to make world a healthy environment to reside for. Let's unite to prevent drug resistance. Hope I was able to make my podcast informative in some way. Thank you for listening.